All right. Just getting everything started here, making sure my dates are good. Yep. Boot this up. Get it on the right monitor. Bonk. All right. Hello. There we are. It is hot. And there has not been much rain. It has rained, but good Lord. I've been making it a project to take down more of the Japanese knotroot. Always an issue. We've got, this was 2 weeks back. As you can see, there is a little bit of water in different places in the creek here. But overall, I haven't done much to the actual structure of the creek since the 2 weeks prior. But it is still a project I should be working on more. I need to reinforce this landscape so it doesn't flood straight through. So that's a different project for a different time. I remembered gloves both weeks this week. But I should actually trim this path too. While the creek isn't going, I could actually cut back some of this grass and natural foliage so it doesn't interfere. But currently it is, and I haven't done anything about it in the next video either. Spoilers. So here we are. I did, however, do a lot in this past week. So this video should show a fair amount of difference from the next video. So lots been going on. It's hard to stay positive, but there are some times where you've got to do the hard thing because it's worth it. Hey, Rach. Good to see ya. All right. So, yeah, this is my backyard and what I've been doing. I got a chance to pull out a lot of debris out of this creek, and a lot of it was right there previously. It's been a giant labor of love. There's so much grapevine and everything. There was a space here. This was all actually foliage and everything. Was able to clear out a nice little path over there now. There was another branch over here that completely made it harder to get through, but that got taken out. Been doing a lot. But back here, I do need to take down some of these littler trees and branches and things that are just kind of getting in the way of the path. And yeah, like this is honestly what I've been doing a lot with this channel is just kind of documenting this and throwing it up on YouTube. So if you're ever interested in seeing some nature, I've got plenty of content for you. Because I've been doing this since spring, I believe. I'm going to try to continue doing it as long as it feels worth it. Because a lot of the time I'm doing this almost like, you know, when like you've got a date and or you just have someone coming over and you feel the oppressive urge to make sure your place is clean and able to like be presentable. It's not ridiculous. It's in the 80s. But so by showing the world my backyard, it gives me more and more incentive to be like, hey, this is the space that I live in. It is not completely impossible to get through. You could actually take a walk if you were so inclined. So the more and more I have that social pressure that I put on myself, this is intentional to further make my space a little bit nicer. So yeah, like I kind of like every now and again I'll get down on myself about it. Like this is no one really watches these. It's pretty much just for me, but that's enough to keep me going out and doing this and taking a walk at least all the way through every couple of days is great. Making a video twice a week on it on the progress has been really good. Um, if you go back, a lot of these areas are completely different. Um, that would actually be a clever way to do it. And I was thinking to myself, my space in here is not great. Like, I don't want to show anyone that, but I should have the like intention of like, hey, I could entertain somebody. Let me clean everything. But yeah, so I did take out a few of these branches and whatnot. That very clearly had poison oak on it. It's a giant problem. Um, but this space is getting nicer and nicer every time I walk through it. So, yeah, that's the goal. So, it's really hard to tell what to do with spaces like this. Like, I really enjoy having like this little tree cave I kind of have to navigate through. At the same time, there's a desire to like clean out all the little trees and make it nicer to just walk through. It got real dark real quick here. Um, hmm, looks like it brightened right back up, but uh, yeah, like different spaces like this, it's hard to like. You want it to feel like you're in nature in a forested area, but at the same time, you don't want to have to like maneuver through things all the time. Also, I'm absolutely cutting straight through here in this path. I there's I haven't done anything with the other space. I'll come back to it in the next video. Um, kind of going through what I've done there, but it's all thorns. It's a pain. I hate it. So yeah, like every now and again when I'm walking through, I'll have different branches and whatnot I'm knocking away. I do that when I'm just naturally walking through as well. So every now and again on some of these walks back, I'll just grab a couple branches and kind of work through bringing them back to a space where I can take them out or make a fire to get rid of them. So you'll see little like branches and stuff that could be picked up or could be like new cuts. And that's what that is. Because I don't always have the energy, or like my diabetes kicks in and I drop really low, and then I have to kind of just drop what I'm doing and get back to my space to where I can normalize. But it's okay. It's important to do the hard thing, and it's important to take care of yourself. But you should always take care of yourself before you do the hard thing. So that's a lot of what I've been trying to focus on. The hard thing is worth doing, obviously, but self care is utmost importance. And a lot of getting into nature and being active is that for me. It's not for everybody. I would love to say that everyone should get out and be in a space like this, but not everyone has access. So I'm doing my best to bring this to everybody who feels like watching. And I love input. Like, there's so many different perspectives on spaces like this where they might see a little nook or cranny and want to actually like, hey, what's over there? And I could absolutely like kind of work that out and clean it up and come back and be like, hey, yeah, so this is what this space looks like now. Because there's so many like when I was first making this, my first goal was to cut out some paths back to a cleaner space so that it's easier to get sticks and whatnot out of here. But the foliage is just a menace. So you can see kind of right here, like the the weeds and everything, they're basically up to your hip at this point. So if it wasn't well walked or well mended, it would absolutely be a bear to get through. And it's atrocious. But if I keep walking it and I keep keeping the on top of the weeds and everything, like this is a space I take care of in the next video, aka stuff I did today. um, but it's so casual and just like there's a little thing that's bothering me, and I could let it bother me, or I could actually do something about it. And I don't feel like if I if I wasn't doing these videos, I would just let it bother me. And that's annoying. And I feel like there's so many of those things in life where if you're in it and you don't get a third party perspective on a thing, it doesn't really feel like it's big enough of a deal to bother you. But when you can have a third party perspective, you can be like, oh yeah, no, I would like to just walk directly over that little log, and that would be nice. And you get better perspective. Like all of this Japanese knotroot needs to get taken down, and I do for the most part. It's just so aggressive and invasive, and ugh, such a pain. My poor creek is all dried up, and my little bone area is kind of hidden back here. I had a tree fall here, and this was me just realizing it existed. So I put it off to the side to take care of off video, because doing work on video um, absolutely is a pain and not worth it. And I end on the bones. So, bones. Um, but yeah, so this whole big thing started because I was really bad at before videos or before pictures. I'm just pulling up the next one. Bam. Uh, so my before pictures and after pictures, yeah. I have a lot of dead things on the property, so I kind of collect their bones and bring them up to this little bone pit area, which is away far enough away where it's not a big deal. The smell doesn't permeate up this hill much. So yeah, it's down back in this little area right here. But um but yeah, so I would do all this work and have an after picture. And people are like, "Yeah, that looks nice," but they don't get to see like, "Oh yeah, all of these are down now. All of this Japanese knotroot has been slashed and cut and taken care of." Or, you know, that this path has been mowed a little bit by a hand scythe. Um, but yeah, I'm always a big fan. Like, there was a bone that just some animal decided to grab and clean off, and just getting them back into that space. Thought that was a bone. Actually, just a leaf that like dries into like a bone like look. Super weird. But as you can see, kind of walking back through, I've taken care of a lot of this Japanese knotroot. There's still a ton to take care of. It's problems because it's invasive, but more on that at another time. Um, Again, still haven't messed with this path. Really need to just trim these sides. And this grass is I forget what it's called. Some kind of like stinging grass, or like it grabs onto whatever it touches. Super annoying. So, kind of happy that I've got that taken care of. Um, Definitely have things for a checklist to do for the coming week. Um, that'll be great. It'd be even better if it continued to rain like it has been, because in this video there's at least 2 or 3 frogs that are trying to get back to the creek, and they just they don't necessarily have enough creek to get back to. Um, yeah, but I spent a lot of this video getting rid of a lot of the debris that had built up over here. I trimmed this space a little bit, but over here there was a lot of stuff that had come out, and most of it's gone. The creek's looking a lot nicer as far as like pathing for it once it does pick back up. There was more debris over here that got taken out, and all through here. So that's nice and good and gives me the good positive feels about a job well done. Little space still holding up. All of this got mowed down a little bit. Elderberry doing well. Not quite into berries yet, but no longer flowers. I have a lot of friends who enjoy elderflower wine, and I couldn't imagine just how many little flowers that it takes, because they're not very big. So, did a lot of cleanup in the little tree department, trying to just make this path less of a maze to get through, but still enough coverage. There was a ton of debris over here, which I forgot to highlight initially. Um, but having a better path going directly out from here is another spot I should work on. Yeah. So getting really good on this path. Third checklist thing is to take care of this debris, get that out of there, make some sort of path over so I can just cut directly over. Would alleviate this a lot. I do have a space over here that I could make fire. Not sure I want to though. It's always hit and miss whether or not I find a good space to make fire, because you need a giant opening where there aren't trees that could catch. It's important to be on top of preservation and, ensuring you don't cause a forest fire, because it'd be so wild to like see all this burnt up, and there'd be so many animals that would lose their homes and everything. Um, I've been seeing a lot of raccoon droppings as well as deer. Um, so it's it's been interesting to see how dehydrated everything is, and how they're going for a lot more berries that they can't process just to get some sort of liquid in them. Even though the creek does have liquid in it currently. Um, oh, up here, I might watch this a couple times, because there's a poor little frog that tries to jump into the water, but he misses and hits a stick. Oh my lord, I died. I like I couldn't process this poor little guy. I want to see if I can see it, if I catch it on the camera. Okay. So He's going to jump off from around here, hit this stick. Yo. So, watch that back again real quick. Poor little guy. Okay. Oh. Oh, so sad. Poor thing. Like, I feel like everyone has those moments though where it's like, I think I can make this jump, and then over or underestimates it, or we lose a little bit of footing here or there and just like rip. Just fall flat on our face, and it just always rough when you see it in person. So, like I was saying in previous, I'm actually going to go over here past these trees that are growing around each other, because this is the extent of the forested area in this plot. There is a secondary plot, but it is already more open. So this has more of the small trees and branches and things. And it'll give a better concept of like what unkempt area for a couple weeks will do. Because if you go back and watch, I have not been coming through here very much because all of these are thorn bushes all through here. So I've carved a small path straight to out because you can just get out that way. But for everyone's sake, I walked through this. And these aren't that high. The vines kind of keep them cramped down onto each other. So I didn't sustain any problems, and I wear proper gear such that none of my skin is exposed. But like, it's a major difference from the regular path that I've continued to walk through. And you can tell when I'm back onto it. So, yeah. Always harrowing to go through that area. But it just means there's more work to do. And as I was saying before, I'm going to start collecting some sticks just to take back to spaces where they can leave the area. Because it's one of those things, things that don't get said enough. When you're carrying a stick like this is improper form to have the leaves going forward. You want to have them drag backwards such that it won't stop your progress. They'll kind of just flow with your progress. And I will fix that eventually, but I did want to carry it this way to remind myself to talk about that. As past me working with future me. And it's really simple to flip around. I'll try to catch it when I do it, but it's so hard to tell when what I'm doing with my hands because I just have it as like a forehead cam. Like I have it on a little baseball cap. So yeah, I flip it right there, and I can tell I did, but I just like let it drop and then pull over, and then it's behind me, so it's not an issue. And then you can use the end bit to pick up other sticks. It works really well. It's a silly thing to practice, but I have. um, but yeah, so it's been a good couple weeks. Been really active in the past week. Really glad that it shows up on this video. I kind of have to debate at which point I want to drop it. So here's a good path to do so, and I've been using this one a lot to maneuver some of this stuff at the sideways tree where I said I got rid of a lot of debris. Here is some of it. So not my entire backyard isn't this, but a fair portion is. Um, the wonders of inheriting a farm. It's, they got a lot of parts of Stardew Valley right in that when you inherit something like this, you're gonna have a lot of work to do. There's a lot that's broken. There's a lot that you just can't traverse right away. You kind of need to work up to it. You've got to build some bridges and make paths for yourself because these spaces have not been traversed in like 30 years. So it's been a big process. It's all sorts of activity, and I've been really happy to start working on this since COVID started. It's been its own little positive with everything else going on. So, yeah, I love these vines. Like, this is one area I'm probably never going to cut down completely just because the vines have gotten like yay big and like so good. Just absolutely took pictures hanging on them and this whole thing. Um, in the last video, this was all completely brush and was a pain to get through because I just use a hand scythe for a lot of it. Just taking down a lot of this different stuff because, again, a lot of the motivation is to be active. And power tools are easy and helpful, but they do stall, and a lot of the time using them is trying to make them work. So, yeah, it's this waterway is working a lot better now. I absolutely cleaned out the path for it. It's not collecting as much iron debris, or what was it? I forget what it was called, but in the latest uh, uh, this bushcraft guy I watch used the iron oxide that um, it gets stuck in those areas, and you can collect it, and apparently you can make some kind of iron out of it, and he did, and it was fascinating. Love it. Yeah, he's one of the bigger bushcraft guys. But anyway, so yeah, this is culmination of my 2 weeks. Um, yeah, you can see we are getting rainfall every now and again, so it is getting better. We're not in complete drought anymore. So yeah, it's that's been my 2 weeks. Wow. So yeah, thank you for watching. Be sure to check out my YouTube. And for those watching on YouTube, be sure to check out my Twitch. I leave the link in the description. Um, follow me on both platforms. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, whole thing. Um, yeah. So thank you. And I can cut and do editing from there on, but yeah, that's what my streams have been. Thanks for coming. Thanks for checking it out. Always happy to kind of when I get people from other streams, it's nice to have someone. Yeah. So yeah, if you're ever looking for more nature, I absolutely have plenty of content. Um, even when there's not someone in stream, I will continue to chat and like be social and talk about like Minecraft or concepts that are like different for real life or not. So yeah, I try to do this every 2 weeks on Wednesday. So it'll be 2 weeks before I do this again. I should probably do other things, but I don't know. It's just easier for Twitch to be my encoder for YouTube. So yeah, and I'm happy to chat and answer questions or just. So yeah, thanks for